everyone, and welcome to this month's Solid World. I'm dialing in currently from Oxford, and I'm looking forward to all the amazing presentations that we're going to have today. While we wait for people to join, we'll just give a few minutes for people to do so. It'd be great for you to put in the chat where you're dialing in from to see where we've got people working on Solid, and why don't we go through the panelists and see where we've got people calling in from today. Elf Pavlek with the interesting background as usual. Where are you actually, and where are we virtually?
Hi everyone, as public here, I'm physically in Mexico, near Mexico City in the mountains, and virtually I have no idea. It's probably my dream from 2 nights ago. Good to see you
Very
all.
fair. Uh, and Jeff, where are you calling in from today?
Although you can't see me, I'm actually in Portland, Oregon, where it's doing its usual and pouring rain.
Well, very sorry about the pouring rain. I can understand that one. We've got consistent rainy weather here as well. Precious, where are you dialing in from?
Hi everyone, I'm Precious and I'm calling from Coventry in the UK.
Very nice. And Matthew, what about yourself?
London, UK. Also raining.
Oh, we've just got wet weather all round by the seams. Aaron, give
Absolutely.
us some hope. Are we sunny where you are, Aaron?
I'm Aaron Coburn from Inrupt. I'm in northern Minnesota. It is not sunny here. In fact, we are getting a snowstorm.
Ah,
And when all is said and done, we should have a foot of fresh snow on the ground, which for those of you who enjoy skiing, this is going to be a great thing.
are you getting out on the slopes anytime today or anytime soon?
I will be skiing this evening.
Very nice. I'm very jealous of that. And what about yourself, Frederick? Where are you dialing in from?
I'm dialing in. Good evening, everybody. I'm dialing in from Belgium, a small city, Heel. Uh, the weather, well, it's not raining, but rain is predicted. So,
You're doing the best of all of us at the moment.
yes.
Very good. And I'm seeing a lot of different places that people are dialing in from. We've got Paris, we've got Montreal, Brazil, well, London, New Forest. We've got where else have we got? Scotland, um, Worcestershire, Ottawa in Canada, Rome. We've got a lot more Brazil, Quebec. So we've got a good mixed representation of different people dialing in for this month's Solid World. It's now three past. We've started to get a few people joining us, so I'm going to kick off. And what we're going to go through today is firstly have some updates from the ODI, tell you a little bit about what we've been working on, and then I'm going to have Precious and Matthew present some of the work that they've been doing on Solid, including applications that we've been developing and developer tooling and education that we've been building. Then we're going to hear some updates. We'll get Elf Pavlik, Jeff Zucker, and Aaron Coburn to give updates from the Solid CG practitioners group and linked web storage group, respectively. And then we'll hand over for the main star of today's presentation, which will be by Frederick, who's working for Vito, a software engineer and architect over there, and has been working on a range of projects, including We Are for the last couple of years at Vito, and we're very excited to hear about that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to go straight into the demonstrations. So I'd like to hand over to Matthew to tell you a bit about what we've been doing with developer documentation and tutorials for Solid.
Yes,
Matthew?
so thank you, Jesse. One of the most important objectives we've identified to increase Solid's visibility and adoption is to make it easier for developers to onboard into the Solid ecosystem. So we have created a central place for people to contribute developer documentations. It's hosted at dev.solidproject.org. The repository is public and visible for everyone to contribute and comment on and raise issues on the Solid GitHub org. And Well, the first bits that we have added to this site is an existing tutorial that Jackson Morgan had created to help people learn how to build a solid app with LDO and React. And we have also created a repository with example code to help people run the community Solid server locally and deploy it to an Azure app service that should cover some very simple experimentation type scenarios where developers can easily get a Solid server in production and customized to run experiment with something that they have full control over, and it can be run and deployed quite cheaply. And finally, we created a small demo application using standard libraries, Next.js, and LDO. The code is very well documented. It's also all open source, all on the Solid GitHub org. And we welcome feedback. We welcome further contributions to the tutorials. That's it.
Thank you so much, Matthew. And to emphasize what you were saying at the end, we're looking for dev.solidproject.org to become a central home for developer documentation on Solid. It's on the public Solid GitHub organization, and we're very keen for the community to start contributing their own documentation and tutorials for Solid to help people onboard and build with Solid in all of the different ways that you can. So if you've got documentation that you want to contribute, please do. We're very much wanting this to be us helping provide infrastructure and help seeding some documentation, but it not to be an ODI only project. What I'll now do is hand over to Precious to talk us through the work that she's been doing on the Solid File Manager application. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you're able to pull up Solid File Manager and talk us through what you've been doing.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. I just sent a request to be able to share. Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, once again, I'm Precious Ursadere, front-end developer at the ODI. So we now have this Solid File Manager application that allows users to have a friendly interface to visualize and interact with their storages on their pod. I'm just going to run us through a quick demo of how the app works. So you can log in with any of your identity providers. We have two listed, which is solidcommunity.net and Inrupt. However, you are allowed to type in your provider if it is different from what we have on the app. And then when you click next, you get to be routed to solidcommunity.net to authorize this sign-in request. So I'll just quickly authorize this. And you're gonna get routed back to the application. And here you can see that this is my storage, and I can switch between the grid view or the list view. Here you can see a little bit about your profile, and you're able to copy your web ID. To navigate into your storage, you just need to double click and you can see all of the resources you have in your storage. You can create a new folder or file upload or folder upload as well. You can also be able to preview your files in your storage. This is me previewing a logo image I have in my storage. You can also make a copy. There are different menu options here for you to work with. You can make a copy and you would see the copy of that logo here. And you can also share a resource with someone else. When you click here, you're going to see a list of your friends. If you have any friends tied to your web ID, you see it here in the drop down. However, if the web ID you want to share to is not a part of your friend list, you could just easily type it here. But for this demo, I'm just going to work with this. And then when you press enter, you're able to then decide if you want to give read access or editor access. And then when you're done selecting that, you click on done. And when the sharing is complete, you see this success model and you're able to copy this URL and share with the recipients. There are several other features here, such as downloading, as well as moving, deleting, and all of that. Um, because of time, I would like to stop the demo here, but I want to encourage everyone to go to solidfilemanager.theodi.org and navigate through the app. And also, the repository is open source, so we also encourage people to make contributions to the code base as well. Thank you, Jesse. That'll be the end. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you so much, Precious, and an excellent demo. Uh, I would like to quickly check if there are any questions from Matthew or Precious's demos before we continue. I'm not seeing any, so what you can do is if you've got questions, put them in the chat, and when we get to the end of our updates and the practitioners and community group and working group updates, if there are questions in the chat at that point in time, I'll come to them, read them out, and then we can get them answered for you. So to give a few more exciting updates from the ODI's side and more generally in the Solid ecosystem, firstly, we want to announce a Solid Week, and this Solid Week will be taking place in April and May of next year. Firstly, we've got a developer tournament that's going to be taking place from April 27th to April 29th. This is going to be a hackathon style event where people can come and build Solid applications. We're going to have people around to help mentor with the development of applications. And we're going to try and center a lot of the development around a particular domain that we've not yet decided, so that at the end of the hackathon, we can see lots of different Solid apps that are working together and reusing each other's data in Solid to show off the promise of interoperability in Solid. Also in Solid Week, we've got a linked web storage working group meeting that will be taking place on April 27th to April 28th. And the goal for the working group is to have, at that point in time, a first working draft of the specification that we'll be working towards and talking through in that session. And then the week will be culminating in the Solid Symposium, which is being organized by a range of members from the Solid community, where the ODI is acting as a local organizer for the event and helping set up some spaces. We've already locked in a number of exciting keynote speakers for that event, including Sir Tim Berners-Lee, Sir Nigel Shadbolt, and Oshani. And Oshani did a lot of the original development on Solid. So all of these speakers are either central to work that the ODI does around Solid or central to the Solid ecosystem in general. So the tickets for both the symposium and the hackathon are now live. So please do follow the links in the chat now to register for those events. I highly encourage you to get Solid Symposium tickets now because they're currently at early bird rates, so you'll be able to get reduced prices for the Solid Symposium. There's some other updates that the ODI would like to announce around what we've been working on and what's been going on. Firstly, ODI is now a member of the W3C, so we can more formally contribute to specification work like the linked web storage working group. We also saw a presence of Solid at the Web Summit, where Sir Tim Berners-Lee gave a fireside chat to many developers there. There was a stadium full of people at the Web Summit, and if you'd like to see that fireside chat, I highly recommend it. Then you can follow the link that we'll be putting in the Zoom call. Some other updates on more operational work that the ODI has been doing. Firstly, we've started to add a little bit of content moderation onto solidcommunity.net. More information to be provided on that later. And we're currently doing a gap analysis of missing tools in the Solid ecosystem. And this is so that we can prioritize the work that we do on building new software development kits, building missing tools in the Solid ecosystem and supporting existing tools and libraries that exist in the Solid ecosystem. So if you have opinions on what is needed, if you're a developer that's facing challenges building with Solid, please do fill out that survey because that helps us prioritize what we build and how we help support the community. I'd now like to hand over and get updates from other groups working on Solid. Let's start with the Solid community group. So Elf Public, over to you for Solid community group updates.
Hi, everyone. I don't see the slide, Jesse.
Thank you for capturing that. I will share that
Thank you.
again. There you go.
Awesome. So, hi everyone, Elf Public. I'm one of the co-chairs of Solid Community Group. So, Community Group, it's like an incubation space at W3C where we create reports. And as you will later hear, there are also working groups if someone is not familiar with the W3C process. And some of the reports can transition and become, they go on the official recommendation track. And Aaron will be talking from the working group perspective. So we are looking for people to participate. You can find the link to the homepage of the community group with links to the public mailing list and GitHub repos, some other spaces. Quick update about our current activity. Currently, we are in the process of electing 2 chairs. The term for the chair of the community group is 2 years. And I would like to give big thanks to Mikel and Hadrian, who have been amazing chairs for 2 years. Their term just ended with the end of the year, and we are electing 2 new chairs. We will announce results in January, and you can expect to see new faces reporting from the CG on next Solid World events. And the next election will be at the end of December, where my term will be ending, and we'll be electing 1 new chair. So the chairs that are elected currently will be accompanied by a new chair next year in December. So we are in this internal process. When it comes to actual work that it's in our scope, we plan to focus heavily on the interop between applications within different data domains. So I would like to invite everyone that if you work on an application, it can be Solid application already, but if you work on an application and would like to possibly adopt Solid, and your application works in a specific data domain, let's say you work with events or task management or some health or supply chains, like it doesn't really matter, like we welcome all data domains. We would like to provide a space for those initiatives to work on the interop. So if there are different applications that are working with the same data domains, we would like to, for example, help you design a data shapes. It's maybe a bit technical, but it's a way, like a schema that all those applications could use common schemas. So when the user is storing data on their storage, when you collaborate with other people, you can use the application of your choice. So you are free to use an application you like. For me, the nice example is an email. We all send and receive emails, but everyone can choose whatever email client we want to use. So I would see it very comparable, just in more general approach. So once again, you can see a link and the QR code on the screen and just shoot an email to the public mailing list. And we are looking forward to work with you and get your application interoperating with other applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Elf Public. Jeff, over to you for the practitioners group update.
Hi, everyone. Apologies for not being able to see me. I don't know exactly why Linux is doing this to me, but my voice is here. This is the wrong slide. This is...
We've got since last Solid World.
No, I put in an entire slide yesterday, and no, that's not it.
Shall we jump over to
go
Aaron?
Back to the one you just saw. No, go back to the one. No, I saw it flash. There, no. No. So I guess I'll have to do it without a slide. Let me readjust my screen and pull it up on my own screen. Okay, so I'm one of the co-chairs of the Solid Practitioners Group. For those of you who don't know, we're a group of aimed at people who are creating resources on the ground, solid resources meant to be used by end users in the real world and to address issues of social impact. As well as any other user-oriented solid application. We have bi-monthly meetings online, and all are invited. I'll give the URL and details of how to join later. Let me just give a description of what we've done since the last Solid World meeting. We had a meeting on Dokali, a presentation on a solid-based authoring and annotation tool that developed by Sarvan Capodistri and Virginia Balserio. We had a meeting on using Solid for decentralized archiving from a project in the UK. We had a discussion about adoption of Solid at Red Hat. Luke, who works at Red Hat, has been slowly working to get some form of adoption of Solid within Red Hat, and we had a general discussion on the issues related to adopting Solid. This is one of the goals of the Solid Practitioners Group. Since we deal with on-the-ground issues, that includes how do you convince project managers to adopt Solid, as well as issues of the how Solid is used in real use cases. We had a very exciting meeting on food scarcity and distribution networks. We heard about a project in France the Maxime Lecoq is working on to handle small food chains and small supply chains of local food distributors and distribution networks. And we also heard from Lynn Foster at the Value Flows project, giving us an overview of a very expansive ontology they've developed, which allows a complete view of a food distribution network and of food sources. We had a meeting in which we described what we like from the ODI and what we have to offer to the ODI, and I presented that yesterday at the meeting of the advisory committee. Now, coming up, we have a very exciting development is we're going to have we meet on the first and third Thursdays, and now in the in-between Thursday, we're going to have coding sessions, hands-on coding sessions. So, and Mathieu from ODI will be there to help us out, and it will be joint mentoring and coding in which we may either explore general topics of how do you search or how do you do this kind of thing, and they may be helping specific projects when the practitioners get over particular coding humps that they have. So it'll be sort of a co-coding mini hackathon for practitioners, which we'll now have on a regular basis. We plan a second meeting on food scarcity and distribution. We have a very exciting project in Baltimore, US, that works with how you get a marginalized community in contact with the food they need. So food pantries, local farms, other ways of distributing food and connecting the people who need the food with those that provide it. more on this and how to join our meetings and minutes and videos of past meetings are all available at the link there, which is if someone could put that in the chat for me, I'd appreciate it. But it's github.com solid contrib practitioners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We'll get all of those links into the chat for you shortly. I'll now hand over to Aaron Coburn to give an update from the linked web storage side. Over to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Jesse, and thank you all for inviting us back. So I'm one of the co-chairs of the Linked Web Storage Working Group. This is a group within the W3C organization that is producing a specification or a series of specifications related to linked storage. So a lot of this will underlie much of the kinds of applications that are built to run as solid applications. So the goal here really is, how can we ensure that there's interoperability across servers and across server implementations? I'm going to give a little bit of a highlight or a set of highlights from the last 3 months of our working group. In the process of creating a specification, one of the important things is to make sure that we have consensus, broad industry consensus among the members of the working group. And sometimes it's very difficult to get consensus. One thing we did in order to drive this is we had a face-to-face meeting back in October. We had 3 days of incredibly productive meetings. We were able to take the requirements that we had been clarifying and prioritizing before that meeting. We were able to effectively create a roadmap for how we can move forward on the various topics, so that we can come up with a specification that meets W3C standards. What came out of that October face-to-face meeting was a set of specific proposals which are available online for review right now, specifically related to authentication and authorization. Just as a highlight for what these are mostly focused on, is what we're trying to do is look at some of the ways authentication and authorization currently work in Solid today, but simplify it, look at security properties, look at performance characteristics, and also align with existing OAuth 2 specifications. So this will allow us broadly to be part of a much larger ecosystem of authentication and authorization, so that this can plug into not just solid applications, but lots of different kinds of applications, and be part of a much larger fabric of authorization on the web. That's been moving forward very well. Hopefully we'll get those merged into the core protocol within the next few weeks. Next up, we've had conversations, and I think we have broad consensus, at least at a high level, on things like core operations, container structure, general metadata, and how all of that is handled and how applications interact with this. This is sort of the bread and butter of Solid today. So what we're doing is we're first trying to sort out authentication and authorization, as in that security layer, and then move into the basic interactions between a server and a client. So we have some proposals today already that are under review, and then we'll be moving to additional proposals related specifically to containers and metadata over the next few weeks, into a month. Jesse, if you move to the next slide. After we complete those sections, there are a number of topics that we have coming up. One is specifying how sharing requests and grants work. Today in Solid, there are a variety of mechanisms that different applications and different implementations make use of. What we want to do is we want to standardize this so that there's broad consistency across applications and across servers. Part of that relates to how notifications work. And furthermore, there's a notion of a type index that we want to bring into the server side of a linked web storage implementation. Today, there's a lot of use of type indices on the client side, which has pros and cons. We want to take a lot of that work that's been incubated in the community, the Solid community group, and bring that into the working group. In addition, we'll be working on a test suite. This is an important part of any specification, because you want to be able to identify a degree of conformance with a specification for any implementation. Meanwhile, what we've been doing is we've also been trying to clarify for each of these different features, some of which are new, some of which are really old hat for folks who've been in the Solid world for a while, is clarify what that migration path is for existing Solid software. Many things will not change from what you see today in Solid, and some things will. So what we're trying to do is make sure that for anything that does change, we want to have a really clear path for how existing software can move from what you see today to what we'll have tomorrow in linked web storage. Below, there are a couple of links just for folks who are interested in following along, and we'll make sure to have those links available in the chat momentarily. The first is just the working group page. This page will link to repositories, it will link to draft specifications, it will link to all sorts of things of interest to people both in and out of the working group. The second link has to do with the linked web storage protocol repository on GitHub itself. This is where much of the activity currently is taking place. And while only members can participate in the working group directly, anyone can leave comments and participate in discussions on the GitHub repository. So please, if you're interested, have a look at that and weigh in if you see something that's of interest. That's all I've got. So back to you, Jesse.
Thank you, Aaron. And I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing the sharing requests and notifications work come through. We've been wanting to use those features, for instance, in the file manager that Precious presented. Sharing requests and access requests, a feature that would be useful to have sharing notifications there. I'm now going to hand over to the main presentation of the day. I don't see any Q&A in the chat from these earlier presenters. So Frederick, we're going to hand straight over to you to hear about the work that you've been doing on We Are at Vito, and looking forward to hearing about all the work that's been going on there.
All right, thanks a lot, Jesse. I will share my screen and then start my presentation. Y'all can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So today I want to talk to you about what we're doing at Vito related to Solid and related to data vaults. The main topic now, what it's all about, is about the citizen and the governance of his health data. I'm Frederik Bijl. I'm from Vito. I'm a developer, architect there, and I will explain the setup that we did and how everything works together. But first, for those who don't know Vito, we are a research institute in Flanders working around sustainability. And what Vito tries to do is take solutions from TRL4, do research on them, improve them, and try to bring them to TRL7 to hand over to industry. In that way, we want to innovate and speed up innovation in Flanders. At Vito, we're working at 3 domain levels. Regenerative economy, it's all about energy, water, and circularity. So we're doing research on batteries, doing research on keeping devices repaired and improving that and helping the citizens there. Resilient ecosystems, that's about climate mitigation, climate adaptation, models on pollution, and so on. And then the thing where I'm going to talk about today, it's about healthy environment that's improving the quality of life in a sustainable way for our citizens. I'm going to talk about 2 things. First, the VR platform. It's a platform that we created with data vaults to store health data and to enable citizen-centric management of the data, the health data that the citizen has. So that's the platform VR. And in the last part, I will talk about specific implementation on the VR platform, which is called the Well Data project. So first of all, if we have a look now today how the health landscape is organized, it's a disease-oriented care system that we're living in. It means when you get sick, when you get ill, things start moving and data is created and used, but the data is spread over different silos. In Belgium, we have multiple silos trying to share data across different systems. It's called Cozo, Nexus Health, for instance, and Vitalink. So the data is spread a bit around and it gets activated the moment that you're sick. Then data is created, stored, and possibly shared over systems. But as we have multiple systems, interoperability is a bit tricky. So what's the goal of VR and where do we want to go? We want to empower the citizen. We want to bring him or her in control of his data. And we not only want to do that when the person is sick, but we also want to activate the lifestyle data and the other data that the citizen has, because that is very valuable information. And if he or she can manage that and can activate that, he will be empowered to share that with the parties that are offering specific functionalities to improve his quality of life. So that's the goal of VR. So VR is the data vault in the center. And that data vault should be able to gather information from different systems. I'm gonna get the laser pointer because that talks a bit better. So from different systems, it can be allergic information, for instance, sports information, movement data, and so on, but also hospital data. If we can store that in the data vault of the person itself, it can also be activated. And if we put the person in charge, between quotes, that he can manage with whom he wants to share the data, he can really be empowered in creating this healthier lifestyle, and we can keep the citizens more healthy for a longer period of time, which then decreases the pressure on the health system as it is now. We want to do that on 2 levels. So VR has a responsibility to do that on 2 levels. The first one is the primary use of the data. Primary use, it means improving really the quality of the person, of life of the person itself through his data. So personalized medicine, personalized care. And there's a second use also. If we enable the citizen to have control over his data, he can also choose to share that for research. And if we can do research on the data that is now lacking, we can improve the healthcare and get more insights and make a better living environment. So that's basically what VR does. And I'm talking about a data vault. If you have a vault, you think of the bank. And what does the bank need to do? It needs to do 2 things. It needs to say, stop, who are you? Identify yourself. And the other thing is, stop, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with the data? And that's actually the role that VR is going going to fulfill. So there's an access management and a consent module in VR to enable the sharing of data and to make this all possible. Yeah. If you look at the solution of VR on a high level, it consists of three things. The technical part is the data storage, the data vault itself. Around that are the functionalities that we need to implement as the bank surrounding the digital vault. The things that we need to implement to make sure that the citizen can use and share his data and that he has a view on the data. Too quick. And the top layer is the organizational and data governance layer to make it all possible. What does it mean? It means we want to make sure that we provide a secure environment and that it is trustworthy and that the privacy rules are respected by all the systems that are onboarding on the VR system. And that's the role of the organizational and data governance layer. So in detail, the data storage layer, that's where Solid comes into play. In our implementation, we're using the Inrupt ASS, which is hosted by Atumi. And that enables us to let the data be reused across all the apps that are onboarding on the VR system. The goal is to connect with all those applications and make the reuse of data in those onboarded applications possible. The next layer are the functionalities. So we have the data vault, but what can you do with it? We need to provide this personal information manager to enable the person to have a view on what data does he have for the first thing. Second thing, who is using that and for what? That's access management. And then also a specific flow if you're working in an application or in a service provider, that there exists a flow in VR where you can give consent on a specific part of your data in your vault to be used by that provider. So that's the first part, that's personal. The other part for secondary use, it's the R&D catalog, a catalog of all the information and types of information that is available in our ecosystem. And we also have to make that interoperable. So when the data is in the vault, it's at a raw format, but we need to agree with all the parties that are onboarding that they need to talk the same language. Because we're working with health data and it needs to be interoperable, we chose to do that with the FHIR interoperability standard. And the top layer is the organizational and data governance layer, and I already mentioned that a little bit. It's this layer which takes care of guaranteeing that all the parties that are onboarded in VR ecosystem, that they are trustworthy and that they follow the privacy rules and that they don't do anything with your data that you don't want. So VR wants to be the trusted party to take care of all that. How do we build something like that? Keeping our focus. We have 8 guiding principles: quality and efficiency, care and equality, privacy and security, and autonomy and solidarity. Privacy and security, and I already mentioned that we want to guarantee that our users in the platform don't need to worry about the privacy rules and that security is guaranteed. We do that by an external advisory board where if parties want to onboard in the VR ecosystem, they have to pass this governance board and they are reviewed and approved or disproved. In that way, we can guarantee that all the parties in the ecosystem are trustworthy. Because we're also doing in the VR, it's not only the implementation, we're also doing research on how it is perceived. And out of a citizen survey came that, yeah, there's still a distrust in the internet, that there's still this gap in digital literacy, and we want to close that gap. So to guarantee the trustworthiness, we have this principle that we follow in all our implementations. The next one is quality and efficiency, because VR is like a data broker, and the vault where all the health data will be stored. Yeah, we need to guarantee that the data is of high quality, and the data can be quantitative, but it can also be qualitative. So we need to guarantee for the applications that want to onboard in the ecosystem that the data that can be found in the pod is of high quality. This will improve or enable the only once principle, meaning that if a person goes to another country, that his data can just be read and he doesn't need to fill in everything again. The next principle is care and equality. We want to build this inclusive system where everybody can make use of. So to do that, we want to have this threshold of how difficult it is at a very, very low threshold. And then the last one is autonomy and solidarity. From another research that we did, it showed that if you put the citizen more in control of his data, that he really wants to share that and wants to help the secondary use and the research of data to improve health for all, actually. Now, we've been busy for, as Jesse said, quite some time already, a few years on VR, and the projects that we did some on as a proof of concept, but we also have some production ready and things running or that ran in production. The proof of concept things that we tried were a project called BBCT, which stored CT scans of the hips of patients. And we connected that with high performance cluster. I think it was in Poland, to do Monte Carlo simulations on if the person should fall, what's the chance that he or she breaks his hips and stuff like that. And we did some fall prevention and advice on that. So that was a proof of concept. Another one was pharmacogenomics. It means specifically mapping your compatibility of medicine on your genome. So we stored part of the genome in the data vault, and we created this this consent flow, which is used in all the applications actually, and this consent flow where the person of the owner of the vault can share his genome part with a calculator to check this compatibility. Another case was the telemonitoring case, where wearables data is stored directly in the pod, and the patients can choose to activate that data and share it with the medicine people. Then we have 3 things in production. The Vlaamse Patiëntenpeiling, that's a questionnaire that you need to fill in after your hospital visit, and the results of the questionnaire are shared with anonymizer process at Vito, and the results of that are then shared with FIX. It's an institute for to monitor the quality of the care in Belgium or in Flanders, and that will report then on how good the quality of the care is in the hospitals. Another one which is still live is TTP, the TTP case. That's a disease, and it's also a questionnaire to get a better view on how do these patients experience their disease. And then the one of which I'm going to talk about now, it's called the Well Data case, and it's all about activating data for the citizen and really focusing on the reuse across different applications of that data. Maybe should I stop if there are, because now I'm going to start with well data, should I stop if there are already questions now, or I just go proceed and
Well,
we do it in the end?
that's your call. I see one question in the
One,
chat,
yes, I can take the
which
question.
which is anyone working on coordination use cases across Solid, aggregating patterns across users while preserving privacy, or does this coordination fundamentally require a centralized layer?
That's already a very good question. So for the this one, the VPP and the TTP case, we have this flow where the patient can choose to share his data of the questionnaire with a pseudonymizer, anonymizer process at Vito. So it's a process which is running close to the pod, which will get access to the data if the patient wants it, and then will read all the pods, aggregate the data, lose all the personal information, and then the result is shared with another party. But nothing yet like differential privacy or stuff like that. That it's just gathering the data. It's a process running in a secure environment, gathering the data from the different pods, doing the anonymization, and then sharing the results.
Thank you. And I'll add to that there are definitely other actors in the Solid space working on these kind of privacy solutions.
Okay.
Oshani at the Solid Symposium is going to be presenting on federated learning. And if you want pointers to other work in that space, we can add them to the chat. I see another question, which is from John Kirkwood. Would all of this meet HIPAA requirements?
What's the question exactly? With all of these?
Would this meet HIPAA requirements, which is the US health regulation?
That I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know.
That is very fair.
Okay.
Shall we move on to the second part of the
Continue?
presentation?
All right, right. So the second part is about Well Data. Well Data is a project on top of the VR platform. So VR provides this way of managing your consent, having a view on your data, having a view on the consent that you gave to specific parties. And Well Data is an implementation, one of the applications actually using VR. Same story, the goal and the problems that are now today with health data is the data lives in the silos and citizens have little insight and control over the data. It's difficult to share with the stakeholders, with other applications, with parties that want to help you improving your health. So it's an interoperability challenge. And that's also the focus of the Well Data project. Yeah, I just talked said it, but okay. So it wants to make lifestyle data standardized and interoperable. Lifestyle data, it means, yeah, what sports you do, how many movement you do per day, but also social determinants. It's called, like if you're lonely and so on. Well Data, the goal of that is to do innovation and to enable this or test this collaboration over applications in the health landscape, and give, of course, the citizens more control over their health data. Well Data is a cross-border demonstrator that we did. It's in cooperation with the Netherlands, so Flanders and the Netherlands, and we want to share the data from Flanders applications with the Netherlands. I will go in a little bit more technical, but not too deep. So there's a lot of parties included in the Well Data project, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how it's constructed. So we have 4 applications, and those applications are working on top of VR, and VR, below VR is the data vault. So we have Selfcare. Selfcare is a PGO in the Netherlands. So it's a persoonlijke gezondheidsorganisatie. And their role is to, in the Netherlands, keep track of all the health data of a patient, of a citizen in the Netherlands. Welldata itself, it's a visualization and an analysis of your health data in order to follow up how you're feeling and what get a better view on that. Then the gezondheidsgids, it's a questionnaire about your health, and it will also inventorize a little bit your health status. And then Zipster. Zipster is a platform which identifies your care needs and which tries to map your care needs towards caregivers and solutions in the caregiving landscape. Okay, so how does it look? It's a bit small, but I will just explain the colors. Typically, when we do an implementation on VR, we have the red boxes, and the red boxes is the application itself. So in our case, it's Welldata or the Gezondheidsgids or Selfcare or Zipster, and they make use of programs in VR. So this is what I told in the beginning. It's the layer of functionalities that we want to implement or that we implemented on top of the data storage. And the data storage is this. It's taken care by Atumi with an implementation of Inrupt. A little bit more in detail, what do we have? We have the access management application, which provides this flow of giving consent on your data, and I will show it in a demo in a moment. We have the PIMS, which is a personal information management system. That's a view on your data and a view on the consents that you gave on your data. We have an identity provider to onboard other identity providers. It's like an identity broker thing to enable citizens to authenticate themselves with different means, and I will show you that as well. And then, yeah, the data processor, those are processes to anonymize the data, and the VR ID, that's about storing, creating web IDs. And then the role of Atumi and Inrupt, that's a part also to identify the users based with their or based on their SSIN. And then we are using access grants in our implementation because, yeah, that's what Inrupt implemented. And it was also mentioned in the previous presentation, if I'm not mistaken. And then the user pod itself that we're using as a data vault to store all the data. Okay, and now I'm gonna try and show how it all fits together. Hold on. It's this one, but I'm gonna open in an incognito. I'm sorry, it's in Dutch because it's for Flanders and the Netherlands, but I think you get the picture, and I will try to talk you through. Wait, I'm gonna close this one. Yeah. So yeah, this is the LAN. This is Welldata. So Welldata is the project to do this, to enable and to empower the citizen to take care of his health. So with some information how everything works and why it's interesting and what the value is for the citizen itself. He is in control. He's in control. It's ease of use. He gets insights in his data, and he has an impact when sharing the data to improve the health of everybody. Okay, is it too small, or is
it's a little bit
small?
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So in the Welldata, there are multiple applications, as I mentioned, This is actually a collection from which you can start. We have the gezondheidsgids, we have Zipster and self-care. If we, for instance, go now, what I will do is I will go to the gezondheidsgids. Before this demo, I just removed all the data from my data vault, and we will see how everything fills up and how data is reused. So I will go to the gezondheidsgids. Voilà. It's a questionnaire, and it says fill in the questionnaire. All right. Then this is the first thing that happens. In the beginning, I was talking about the bank, and the bank needs to take care of identification of the user and then the authorization and why you want the data from the vault. So this is the first part, identifying the user. We have two options: either log in with your SSIN or via the VR IDP. Other IDP providers are also possible, but I will choose this one now. This is the Belgian IDP. So I need to take my mobile. Voilà. Now I'm authenticated. And then the second part starts. The second role of the bank, and says, hey, stop, what do you want to do? And it says, yeah, this application, the gezondheidsgids, it wants to read and write the data. This is the data. The purpose is save it to your data vault, and then on which day it is valid. So if I approve, an access grant is created for this specific application, and this specific application can then use this access grant to store the data it wants in the location that is assigned to it. We agreed with all those parties to store the FHIR data in RDF. So that's something that the data governance and the governance layer of VR needs to take care of. Okay, so I approve it. Then I get the questionnaire and I can fill it in. I will quickly go to VR itself. It's single sign-on. Because it passes the VR IDP and it notices you have a session. So I can go to my data vault, and yeah, nothing is in there now. So I start filling in the questionnaire. I will try to do it very quickly. It's not so long, so okay. Almost there, almost there. Wait, yeah. Let's see. Opslan. I forgot one. Did I forget one? Must be. Okay. Voilà. It says successful opgeslagen. If I go and refresh my data vault, normally you see 3 new things. FHIR, it's this interoperability standard. It describes resources that are core concepts in the health landscape, and we have person, questionnaire responses, and observation. Person contains the information about me, geslacht, geboortedatum, land, postcode, so it's country, zip code. We also have the questionnaire responses. Now you see answers from the gezondheidsgids, so that's the application that I just used. I can check the answers, so this is a view of the data in my pod. And then another thing in FHIR are observations, and observations are actually properties in a standardized way that you can describe a person's properties with. So this is an observation about the heart and the arteries, and it has a specific code, and the code that is used is the SNOMED code. So that's also a vocabulary for describing specific properties of the health of health. So that's the data vault. I filled in the questionnaire. If I now go back to WellData, WellData also has this questionnaire. If I want to reuse my data, I also need to authenticate via VR, but it's single sign-on, so normally it will pass. And then it says, you want to share your data and reuse your data? Yes. And then we get back to the second thing of the bank, read and write the data. This is the application. WellData application wants to store your data in the data vault. It's your data in VR. Goedkeuren, then the access grant is created, and then what WellData tries to do is try to look for reusable data, but I haven't filled in the questionnaire yet, so I need to start the questionnaire. Okay. It's trying to look for previous answers, but he did not find any. But what in the back, what he's going to do is going to look at the observations that can be found in the vault, these, and he tries to map these against the answers of the questionnaire. And then when he finds something, he says, okay, we found an answer in your data vault. Do you want to reuse it? I will make it a bit bigger. It says, this is the length. So this is a property of myself. We found it in the data vault. Do you want to reuse it? If I say okay, then it is filled in automatically. And another one also, my weight. Yes. Voilà. Volgende vraag. And if I go through the complete questionnaire, then in the end, it will give me a profile, and with that profile, I can monitor my health. Voilà. Another answer was found. Belgium, you want to reuse it? Yes. And this is the zip code. Yes. Voilà. And now he tries to create this profile. Because I filled in more questions, they are also mapped to observations, and they also get stored in my data vault. So back to VR, this is the personal information manager, and a lot of observations have been added. Yeah. Also, the questionnaire is stored in the data vault. So if I go back to questionnaires, then we can find the answers for WellData and the answers for the gezondheidsgids. Another thing which I haven't mentioned yet is I can manage the consents that I gave. So I have gezondheidsgids, the WellData application, and there's a demo application that we're also using. So if I go to gezondheidsgids, I can see what consents are given on which data, and I can also revoke that consent. So I can go to the data, it will jump to the container, and check for the data, and I can revoke this access. If I revoke it, the application will no longer have access to the data. So it's a management, consent management and data management platform VR, which enables onboarded applications to reuse the data. And then back to the presentation, and that's the last thing I wanted to show. Hold on. Voila. All these things, we try to do open source and try to create libraries that help onboarding on VR as smooth as possible. So we have the core library, which takes care of all the interaction with the pod and authentication. And then we have the Express library, which is this middle layer that can be plugged in Express.js applications to make a lot of things invisible for the developer. We also have demo applications as open source. I forgot to provide the links to put them in the chat, but we can do it afterwards. And so we have a demo backend, demo frontend of the architecture picture that I showed, and we also have a demo Postman project listing all the calls that need to happen from authentication to data sharing and using the data. And that is all I wanted to tell you today. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Frederick. What a fantastic presentation. It's really exciting to see what's
Thank
happening
you.
inside
Yes.
VR.
Yeah.
There are questions coming in on the chat.
Okay.
The first is a set of questions from John Kirkwood and someone else who I'm not seeing in the chat, asking whether the data is all the health data is held in the pod, or whether the pod's primarily linking out to health data that's available elsewhere.
No, it's stored in the pod. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And then we had a question from Mark Haddle saying, is the data received and consumed largely in machine readable forms, or is it more summaries and PDFs that you're getting from external systems?
Yes, everything that is in the pod is RDF. I can maybe show that for the techies. Normally, if we go, for instance, for observation, and then if I wait a bit, so yeah, voila. It's maybe too. Is it? Yeah, I don't know if I can zoom. Yeah, voila. So everything is machine readable. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
this is the this is the FHIR ontology, I will call it, and we use that, and we agreed with all the parties to use the FHIR RDF structure to store all the data. Yeah.
Are there any other questions in the chat? While we're waiting for them to filter through, I'll ask mine.
All right.
For the Solid Symposium, I had proposed a session on governance and how you create this open system of applications in Solid where anyone can contribute. And it looks like we are started to solve that challenge in your instance by acting as a body for certifying applications that want to enter the VR ecosystem. Could you speak a bit to what processes you've got in place for onboarding applications before they contribute to the ecosystem?
Yes, so we have this independent advisory board, which the applications need to create this application form, and they need to how do you say it? Defend their case before that independent advisory board. And the advisory board is not part of VR, but it is the people in there are representatives of patient. Patient, how is it called? Patiëntenverenigingen. Patient. Wait. So communities of patients, communities of citizens, some parties which are independent and play a role in that system. So it's not part of VR, but it's a board, which gives them advice if they think that the functionality and the application that wants to onboard on VR is trustworthy, and so on. So, and they also need to do a DPIA and all those things. So.
And are there specific procedures in place to make sure that they implement FHIR correctly so that you don't have an application come in and start corrupting patient data?
Yes. No, on the technical level, that's not yet in place now. So we cannot enforce specific, validation, or if the data is technically correct, that's not yet in place. So we, for now, base ourselves or try to agree with all the parties and try to monitor that with meetings and technical reviews, but that technically enforcing that's not yet in place.
Awesome.
And
I
that's a
see.
challenging thing, yeah.
Yes, very much so. That's why I asked.
Yes, yeah.
Elf Public has his hand up. Do you have a question?
Thank you. So first of all, amazing presentation. Very exciting to see all this development.
Thank you.
I would like to invite you to join one of the community group meetings where we could hopefully dive into more technical details in depth. If you don't mind, I will follow up with you after the call over email, and we can see if the one of the weekly meetings would fit for you. If not, we can organize a special time. My question is also, since I'm co-organizing a session for Solid Symposium about authorizing applications, would you like to tell a few more words how you approach authorizing applications? I see you are using INRAP's access grants.
Yes.
And are those access grants when application requests something? Does it use like some specific, let's say, hard-coded path to the folder, or is it based on a FHIR type or maybe some SCOS ontology? Like when application requests access, like how it specifies what it wants to access, and does it need some kind of prior knowledge about what it tries to access? Thank you.
So two things. All the applications in the ecosystem, they're identified with client IDs and web IDs. That's one thing. And then your question about where it can store the data, if I understand correctly. Yeah, right. We have this container called VR, and under the VR container, we agreed to have containers for each resource that is described in FHIR. So if an application wants to store observations, it needs access to the append access to the observations container. If it wants to read observations, it needs read access to the observation container. If it wants looking for a specific observation, that's not yet implemented, but we have some solutions there to go via VR and the VR consent, and that searching happens there, and that then the resource URIs are provided on which then the person can give consent. But that's also tricky. But we're looking at that.
Thank you. Yeah. So as I understand, the interop between apps relies that you have specific kind of path names in the application.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
the
you.
path names, and they correspond with the resource concepts in FHIR. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Frederick, for a really fantastic presentation on VR. It's been great to learn about the ecosystem there.
You're welcome.
Thank you everyone else for presenting at the start, and thank you to everyone that's joined Solid World today. We are at almost 20 past now, so we're going to conclude our Solid World for December here. Thank you very much for joining. Have a best rest of year. Have a wonderful break if you're taking a break. And we look forward to seeing you all again in the new year and all of the work that takes place between now and the next Solid World. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.